ExamPrep.School. NC Surety Bail Insurance Bondsman Exam. Exam code InsNC-SBB24. There are 4 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. Bail bond procedures, bail bond terminology, fiduciary responsibilities, forfeitures, licensing, NC statutes and regulations pertinent to bail bondsmen, powers and duties of the commissioner, prohibited practices. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. Which of the following is not a power granted to the commissioner under GS 58-71-5? A. Issue subpoenas compelling licensee record production. B. Appoint examiners to inspect insurer accounts and affairs. C. Administer oaths and take testimony under oath. D. Levy civil fines against insurers for statutory violations. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is D. The statute grants the commissioner authority to subpoena records, appoint examiners, and administer oaths, but it does not include the power to impose civil fines under this provision. Reason A is not correct. The commissioner may issue subpoenas to compel production of books and records under the statute. Reason B is not correct. The commissioner is expressly empowered to appoint examiners to inspect and audit insurer affairs. Reason C is not correct. The statute allows the commissioner to administer oaths and take testimony during investigations. Question 2. During an investigation into alleged misappropriation of premium funds, the North Carolina Insurance Commissioner issues a subpoena ducis tecum to Surety Partners bail bonds, requesting the agent's ledger and indemnity agreements within 15 days. The agent intends to challenge the scope of the subpoena. Under North Carolina law, which of the following correctly describes the agent's obligations? A. Produce the requested records by the specified date or face enforcement through contempt proceedings. B. Refuse to produce the records on the basis of client confidentiality and await judicial review. C. Request a formal hearing before the commissioner within 30 days to seek quashing of the subpoena. D. File a petition in Superior Court to compel return of the subpoena before complying with its terms. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is that the agent must produce the records by the specified date or face contempt proceedings. Under GS 58-2-70, subpoenas issued by the Commissioner's Office carry the weight of court orders, and non-compliance can be enforced through Superior Court contempt actions. Reason B is not correct. Client confidentiality privileges do not override the Commissioner's statutory subpoena power, so refusal on that basis is not permitted. Reason C is not correct. There is no provision allowing a separate hearing to quash a commissioner's subpoena. Challenges must proceed through Superior Court enforcement actions. Reason D is not correct. No pre-compliance petition in Superior Court is required. Enforcement and review occur after a failure to comply. Question 3. According to North Carolina General Statute Chapter 150B governing administrative hearings, what is the minimum number of days prior to the hearing date that written notice must be served? A. 5 days. B. 10 days. C. 7 days. D. 14 days. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is 10 days, because Chapter 150B23 requires that written notice of an administrative hearing be served at least 10 days before the hearing date to ensure adequate preparation time. Reason A is not correct. 5 days is too short. The statute specifies a longer minimum period for adequate preparation. Reason C is not correct. 7 days is incorrect because the statute sets a longer minimum notice period. Reason D is not correct. 14 days exceeds the minimum requirement. The statute only mandates 10 days as the minimum. Question 4. During an administrative hearing before the North Carolina Commissioner of Insurance, a bail bondsman contests allegations of misrepresentation. The bondsman argues that the commissioner must apply a heightened standard of proof before revoking the license. Under North Carolina bail licensing disciplinary procedures, which evidentiary standard governs the commissioner's decision? A. Beyond a reasonable doubt standard. B. Clear and convincing evidence standard. C. Preponderance of the evidence standard. D. Substantial evidence hearing standard. The correct answer is C. The commissioner must determine misconduct by a preponderance of the evidence, meaning more likely than not, which is the applicable standard in bail licensing disciplinary hearings. Reason A is not correct. Beyond a reasonable doubt is used in criminal prosecutions, not administrative disciplinary proceedings. Reason B is not correct. Clear and convincing is a higher standard used in certain civil cases, but not in NC bail licensing disciplinary hearings. Reason D is not correct. Substantial evidence standard refers to judicial review of agency decisions rather than the hearing level burden of proof. Question 5. Under GS 58-2-70, what is the maximum civil penalty the commissioner may impose for each violation? A. $500 per violation. B. $1,000 per violation. C. $1,500 per violation. D. $2,000 per violation. The correct answer is B. The statute authorizes a civil penalty of up to $1,000 for each violation under GS 58-2-70. Reason A is not correct. This amount is below the statutory maximum. The law allows higher penalties up to $1,000 per violation. Reason C is not correct. This amount exceeds the maximum set by the statute, which caps penalties at $1,000 per violation. Reason D is not correct. This amount exceeds the maximum set by the statute, which caps penalties at $1,000 per violation. Question 6. According to GS 58-71-1, which of the following best defines a surety bail bondsman? A. An individual licensee appointed by one corporate surety insurer to execute bail bonds under Article 71. B. A judicial officer empowered under Article 71 to accept collateral in lieu of cash bail from defendants. C. An agent authorized by the commissioner solely to collect premiums for bail bonds written by third-party sureties. D. A corporate surety insurer licensed under Chapter 58, or an individual bail bondsman licensed and appointed by such insurer under this article. The correct answer is D. The statutory definition in GS 58-71-1 encompasses either a corporate surety insurer licensed under Chapter 58 or an individual bail bondsman who is licensed and appointed by such insurer under Article 71. Reason A is not correct. It restricts appointment to a single insurer and omits the corporate surety insurer component of the statutory definition. Reason B is not correct. It misidentifies a judicial officer's role rather than the statutory role of a surety bail bondsman. Reason C is not correct. It conflates the role of collecting premiums with the broader authority to execute bail bonds under the statute. Question 7. Which of the following distinguishes a professional bondsman from a surety bail bondsman under North Carolina law? A. Professional bondsman is personally liable for forfeitures without corporate indemnity, whereas a surety bail bondsman operates under corporate indemnification. B. Professional bondsman must post a personal surety bond before practicing, whereas a surety bail bondsman posts collateral on behalf of a corporate surety. C. Professional bondsmen may renew their license biennially, while a surety bail bondsman renews annually. D. Professional bondsman is subject to criminal background checks, whereas a surety bail bondsman is exempt. The correct answer is A. A professional bondsman assumes personal liability for any bond forfeiture without the backup of corporate indemnity, while a surety bail bondsman functions under the liability umbrella of the corporate surety insurer. Reason B is not correct. Both must provide surety, but a professional bondsman's liability is personal rather than holding collateral for a corporate surety. Reason C is not correct. License renewal intervals are the same for both types and are governed by the same statutory schedule. Reason D is not correct. Both professional and surety bail bondsmen are subject to criminal background checks as part of licensing requirements. Question 8. A bail bondsman's office hires an unlicensed runner to deliver completed bond documents to clients. According to North Carolina law, which requirement must be met for the runner's activities to remain compliant? A. The runner must hold a valid bail bondsman license before delivering any documents. B. The runner may operate independently if the bail bondsman approves each bond in writing. C. A licensed bail bondsman must directly supervise the runner's activities on site at all times. D. The runner can only transport cash premiums, not bond paperwork, unless licensed. The correct answer is C. This option correctly reflects that runners must be under direct on-site supervision by a licensed bail bondsman. Reason A is not correct. Unlicensed runners are prohibited from performing licensed activities, but licensing is not required so long as supervision is maintained. Reason B is not correct. Written approval alone does not satisfy the regulation requiring in-person supervision for runner activities. Reason D is not correct. Runner authority extends to delivering documents. Licensing is not a condition for transport under adequate supervision. Question 9. A licensed applicant seeking to act as an accommodation bondsman has a personal net worth of $75,000 and proposes posting a $100,000 bond. Which statement best describes the applicant's eligibility under North Carolina statutes? A. The applicant is ineligible because the net worth threshold must exceed the bond amount. B. The applicant qualifies only if the trust account deposit equals exactly 10% of the bond amount. C. The applicant qualifies because the net worth meets the minimum requirement and the trust account deposit exceeds 10% of the bond. D. The applicant is ineligible because accommodation bondsmen cannot post bonds exceeding $50,000. The correct answer is C. This option accurately states that accommodation bondsmen must have a net worth of at least $75,000 and deposit at least 10% of the bond face value in a trust account. Reason A is not correct. Net worth requirement is a fixed threshold and does not need to exceed the bond amount itself. Reason B is not correct. Regulations require a minimum deposit of 10% but do not mandate an exact match to the bond amount. Reason D is not correct. There is no statutory maximum bond amount limit specific to accommodation bondsmen at $50,000 under these provisions. Question 10. Under North Carolina law, an applicant for an initial bail bondsman license must be at least what age? A. 21 years old. B. 18 years old. C. 25 years old. D. 30 years old. The correct answer is B. North Carolina statutes stipulate that bail bondsman applicants must be at least 18 years of age to ensure legal adulthood and maturity for licensure eligibility. Reason A is not correct. The statutory minimum is lower, so requiring age 21 is incorrect. Reason C is not correct. Age 25 exceeds the minimum threshold specified in the regulations. Reason D is not correct. Age 30 is higher than the age requirement set by state law. Question 11. Before sitting for the initial bail bondsman examination in North Carolina, an applicant must complete a minimum of how many hours of pre-licensing education approved by the commissioner? A. 6 hours. B. 20 hours. C. 12 hours. D. 30 hours. The correct answer is C. State regulations require applicants to complete 12 hours of commissioner-approved pre-licensing education to ensure foundational knowledge of bail bond laws and procedures. Reason A is not correct. 6 hours fall short of the mandated minimum education hours. Reason B is not correct. 20 hours exceed the required pre-licensing education duration. Reason D is not correct. 30 hours are more than the statutory requirement. Question 12. A bail bondsman license applicant undergoes the required fingerprinting and criminal history background check. The report reveals a misdemeanor larceny conviction from 4 years ago that the applicant did not disclose. According to North Carolina bail licensing regulations, what action should the commissioner take? A. Deny the application due to an undisclosed misdemeanor involving moral turpitude within 5 years. B. Issue a conditional license pending demonstration of rehabilitation. C. Request a certified disposition for the prior conviction before deciding. D. Schedule an administrative hearing to assess fitness for licensure. The correct answer is A. North Carolina law requires denial of any bail bondsman application when an applicant fails to disclose a misdemeanor involving moral turpitude occurring within 5 years of application. Reason B is not correct. Issuing a conditional license is not permitted when an applicant has an undisclosed moral turpitude conviction within the statutory timeframe. Reason C is not correct. Requesting a certified disposition applies when verification is needed, but failure to disclose a relevant conviction mandates denial rather than further document collection. Reason D is not correct. An administrative hearing is used for contested disciplinary matters, not to resolve non-disclosure of recent moral turpitude convictions during initial licensing. Question 13. How many continuing education hours must a bail bondsman complete, and by what date must they be satisfied to renew the license in North Carolina? A. 10 hours completed by December 31st of the renewal year. B. 12 hours completed by June 30th of the renewal year. C. 15 hours completed by September 30th of the renewal year. D. 8 hours completed by March 31st of the renewal year. The correct answer is B. The requirement for North Carolina bail bondsman license renewal is completion of 12 continuing education hours on or before June 30th of the renewal year, as set by the state licensing authority. Reason A is not correct. Specifying 10 hours and a December 31st deadline does not align with the statutory requirement, which sets both a different hour total and an earlier deadline. Reason C is not correct. 15 hours by September 30th exceeds the required number of hours and extends beyond the official completion date. Reason D is not correct. 8 hours by March 31st understates the required training and imposes a date not authorized for reporting. Question 14. Under North Carolina rules, what consequence applies if a bail bondsman allows their license to lapse for more than 60 days before seeking renewal? A. License automatically revoked with no option for reinstatement. B. Must submit a new application and pass the licensing examination. C. Subject to a penalty equal to the renewal fee if renewed late, but no exam required. D. Eligible for renewal without penalty if completed within 90 days of expiration. The correct answer is B. If a bail bondsman's license remains lapsed beyond 60 days, North Carolina requires a new initial application and successful passage of the licensing exam to regain licensure. Reason A is not correct. Licenses are not irrevocably revoked after 60 days. Reinstatement is possible through reapplication and examination. Reason C is not correct. The penalty fee provision applies only within the first 60 days of lapse and does not eliminate the exam requirement when lapsed over 60 days. Reason D is not correct. No provision allows penalty-free renewal up to 90 days after expiration under state regulations. Question 15. A surety insurer terminates the appointment of bail agent Jane Smith effective June 1st. Under state regulations governing appointment maintenance and termination notifications, the insurer must file a written notice with the commissioner within 30 calendar days of the effective date. By which date must the notice be received by the commissioner? A. No later than June 30th, 2023. B. No later than July 31st, 2023. C. No later than July 15th, 2023. D. No later than July 1st, 2023. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is July 1st because the law requires that a termination notice be received within 30 calendar days of the effective date. Reason A is not correct. June 30th falls 1 day short of the 30 calendar day requirement. Reason B is not correct. July 31st clearly falls outside the 30-day time frame required by regulation. Reason C is not correct. July 15th exceeds the 30-day deadline, making it too late. Question 16. Under North Carolina bail bond regulations, a bondsman is prohibited from soliciting business within what distance of a detention facility entrance? A. 50 feet. B. 25 feet. C. 75 feet. D. 100 feet. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is 25 feet, because state law specifically forbids solicitation within 25 feet of any detention facility entrance. Other distances exceed or understate the statutory buffer zone. Reason A is not correct. This distance overstates the statutory limit, which is smaller than 50 feet. Reason C is not correct. This distance exaggerates the allowed buffer, as the law specifies a smaller range. Reason D is not correct. This distance significantly exceeds the statutory restriction, which is only 25 feet. Question 17. Under North Carolina law, which of the following compensation arrangements with jail facility personnel would violate the prohibition on indirect payments for referrals? A. Soliciting referral fees from jail guards for each defendant they refer. B. Providing educational seminars to detention staff at no cost. C. Offering free notary services to facility personnel. D. Sending annual holiday gifts valued under statutory thresholds. The correct answer is A. State law prohibits any referral fees paid to jail personnel. Providing seminars, notary services, or low-value gifts under thresholds does not constitute prohibited compensation. Reason B is not correct. Educational seminars offered free do not violate the prohibition, since no payment is exchanged for referrals. Reason C is not correct. Providing notary services at no charge is not considered compensation for referrals. Reason D is not correct. Low-value gifts under statutory thresholds do not fall under the indirect payment prohibition. Question 18. According to North Carolina statutes, which of the following locations is permissible for placing a bail bond advertisement? A. Interior lobby bulletin board of a county detention center. B. Exterior fence of a municipal detention facility. C. Private roadside billboard on leased commercial property. D. Waiting room inside a public law enforcement center. The correct answer is C. The only permissible location is a private billboard on commercial property. State law bars advertisements inside detention centers, on facility exteriors, or in law enforcement waiting rooms. Reason A is not correct. Advertisements on detention center interiors are expressly prohibited by statute. Reason B is not correct. Posting on facility exteriors still falls within restricted detention facility grounds. Reason D is not correct. Law enforcement waiting rooms are part of prohibited public law enforcement centers. Question 19. A bail bondsman enters the common day room of a county detention center without any prior request and directly offers to post bail for an inmate. Which action most likely violates the rule against contacting defendants in custody without request restrictions? A. Leaving a business card in an inmate's property at their written request during a scheduled visit. B. Responding to an inmate's phone call asking for information on bail arrangements. C. Approaching an inmate uninvited in the day room to discuss posting bail. D. Setting up a brochure display in the jail lobby where inmates may freely pick them up. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is the uninvited approach in the day room, as regulations prohibit bail agents from initiating contact with detainees without a formal request to prevent undue pressure on inmates. Reason A is not correct. This is permissible because the inmate initiated the request and visitation rules allow requested materials. Reason B is not correct. Responding to an inmate's initiated call does not violate the restriction on unsolicited contact. Reason D is not correct. Providing free brochures in a public area where inmates choose to pick them up is allowed. Question 20. A bail agent hires an unlicensed friend to scout potential clients at the local police station and agrees to pay a fee for each referral. Which practice most likely constitutes an improper third-party runner scheme? A. Offering discounted rates to inmates who contact the agent directly after a court hearing. B. Placing an advertisement in a local newspaper listing bond amounts and services. C. Accepting voluntary client referrals from a public defender without any payment. D. Paying an unlicensed individual a commission for referring clients to bail services. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is paying an unlicensed person for client referrals, which violates rules prohibiting third-party runner arrangements and referral fee schemes. Reason A is not correct. Offering discounts to clients who initiated contact does not involve third-party solicitation. Reason B is not correct. Advertising bond services publicly does not involve improper third-party runners. Reason C is not correct. Accepting unpaid referrals from a licensed legal professional is allowed. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below. We read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.